Hello, it's Art Wednesday. So, but you're wondering what we're doing this week? Well, I thought we'd have a complete difference. Not in the way of birds, but the type of bird. So, we're going to be doing a flamingo. Now, because of the complex nature of the flamingo's beak and the unusual structure of the flamingo's face and body, to be quite honest, I'm going to break this down into two. So this week we're going to look at drawing the face and the beak, and then next week we're going to follow on and then extend to do the whole flamingo. I've got one here. I'm going to do the whole flamingo, but because of, like I said, the complex nature, we're breaking this down. So where do we start? As always, we're going to look at the shapes, and we're going to look at the lines, the tones, the direction, the proportion. So straight away you probably noticed the circle. Look at the bend in the neck. It bends even more when the flamingo lowers his or her head. Beautiful angles on that. If we look then towards the beak, if you see this part, we've got a nice triangle shape there. If you break that down, you've got sort of a rectangle shape there. So look at the distance from the head and the proportion. The beak, look at this width and this width. Okay, it's about 2/3 of the head size. It's quite wide, and even more so in length. It's got a long length there. Look at the head size. Look at this here. So the beak, a lot longer than the head. So let's make a start. You need some pencils. You need quite a dark shaded pencil for the black beak area. I've got a 9B, and I'm just going to use what I've got here. It's my 2H again, it's different 2H, so we'll see how we go on with this one. Also look at the tiny eye with that one, completely different to normal bird's eyes. You've got a little pupil in the centre and then very light with dark ring on the outside. So, I'm going to start by putting my glasses on so I can see. Let's start with the circle. And remember, just take your time, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Okay, if you can't do that circle by using the armitage, think of that way. Actually, that is going to be, I'm thinking there, I'm going to fit that beacon, I'm not, straight away. I need to take that back off again, start again. So we need to, it's a lesson to, he always said, if we do this together from scratch, we'll learn a lot more, and even the mistakes, they're learning. That's us learning. So there's my head. Going to find the centre of the eye, and then if we look at the direction, it's going to this angle here. Okay, and then when we get to there, I'm going to go more or less straight down. Now if we bring this back up so you can see, so the head, that round circle, even though it looks a bit odd right now, I'm hoping, I don't know, first time I'm drawing one, the angle of the beak from the centre down, and like I said, that's straight, so it's not quite far off. I think we'll put a point in there so we can get this angle in. So I'm just going to do this really, really faintly for now. And then going to try to find this triangle shape from here to here. That triangle. I'm going to check on the width again because I know that it's about 2/3 into it. So I'm going to go up to the eye. It's very odd right now. I'll just put this eye mark in here. So what we need to do now is this part, where we put the triangle, we need to then create this, when I said this rectangle shape, we need then to bring this up. And that's given us our width of the beak. So we've got the rectangle, got the triangle, and we've got the circle. Now let's see if we can make this looking more flamingo-like. So we need to then take away a bit of the circle to make more of a softer face shape. And again, softer. So that circle down a bit. And then I'm just going to bring this round and this round for that beautiful bend. Beautiful bend in the neck, so elegant. So this might be quite faint. I'm hoping you can see it. I'm just going to rub them marks out because I don't need those now. And then I'm going to make this a little bit darker. Not kidding, this pencil's a bit scratchy. Just making this darker so you can see. And back up to there. Got that eye. Just looking, it's a little bit lower down, I think. I'm just going to move that slightly down. Slightly. Pupil in the centre there. Right, so the beak, we're going to make this more flamingo beak-like now. So we're going to move away from our rectangle and our triangle and form this into one beak. So, we look. Okay, so this is what we're going to form now. The rectangle and the triangle. Going to round the end of this beak off. Bring it round. That sort of nozzle part on the flamingo. That round. And then elongate this area, curve it slightly to come round. And then this beak part, we need to then form where the beak opens. We don't need that guideline no longer. So we have the beginning, we have the structure now, whoops, there's it, we have the structure now of the starting of our flamingo. Now I'm going to put this where the black part is. I'll bring the drawing down so you can see again. Beautiful, beautiful markings, so unusual. And then we'll start sort of forming the feathers and the rest of these pinky orangey type colours. Obviously you can't see because we're doing pencil drawings. So I'm just going to stop it there so you can catch up. You might have to have a couple of goes. That little beak in a little bit there. It's soft around there. Okay, I'll see you back here in 20 minutes. So I've worked on darkening the lines out of the structure so you can see this much more clearly now. And we'll now start to break this down slightly. I'm going to start on the legs. So the legs don't go thinner, they tend to be the same width. Because a lot of the legs in the water, you can't see the bumpy part that's in slightly sort of towards the third part of the leg. So I'm going to, they have a line running through. I'll put that in. Okay. And then if I just get maybe. Just going to put a bit of shading in that. Only gently, because I'm going to use my blending stub. To run that. Blend that slightly. There's not a lot going on with the legs really. And if we get a H pencil, just so we can define the centre of that a little bit more. Okay. And then if we go back to the other side now, we go back to the beak. Obviously I'm not going to put a lot of details in like I did last week. That's going to be black. Bit of shading in there. And around where the face is again. Just some shading. I'll carry on with that bit later. So I want to show you the wing part of it. I'm just get a, I want one in the middle, 3B, I'll do it. So the wings, this part here is like I showed you last week, it's that scrumbling, that you can create it with that loose sort of figure of 8, back and forth. And then they can get quite downy towards the end, which then you can just gradually bring some out of the sort of line area. So if you work on that, so it's all this sort of area is similar. Underneath as well, very, very downy. You could even put some sort of gradual, very faint lines in there to create that feather type look, but it's, like I said, very, very, very downy, fluffy in that area. They tend to have a sort of pink tinge, dark pink tinge, at some point under the feathers here. So I'll shade that in again. Just keep remember going this way, okay, this area. I'll tidy this up in a moment. These feathers on top, now these are where your big sort of plume type feathers are. So if you do it, so you've got these overlapping, if you do your feather underneath and then overlap the top feather underneath, overlap, so you're working on top of each other. And bit by bit, you'll start to form these feathers. So I'm going to let you sort of catch up that part of it, and then we're going to work on tidying this and starting to make it a bit more refined. Hi, so now you should have your structure and you should have some of the shading in there now around the neck area and the face. Hopefully you've done yours a lot bigger. I've done this small just for time. It took all day to do a flamingo in a larger piece like an A3. So now I've got the plumes on the top part. All I've done here, just carried on with the shading, just simple shading, emphasised on the legs. We've got that little bit of a water, so we know it's stood in water. To do the, you get a reflection, don't you, in water, just literally leave a bit of a, if you sort of leave spaces in between the legs there, when you're going back into, that'll make it look like a reflection. Or you can even put sort of a few waves in there. When it comes to the plumes now, all we're going to do is we're going to bring some light and shade to it. So if I bring an image over, you see on this one, I'll bring a few over. I mean, that's the sort of shape I've done with the neck-wise. And if we look here, we've got the pink there, the darker area here, the plumes underneath, that a few lines there where the feathers are. And now we're going to create this effect. Now, because it's white, it's a little bit more difficult. So we have to be gradual on this one. This has got more of the orangey pink in it. You can see these. We don't want to make it look stripy because we're not using colour, we're using pencil. I want to show you how to do that now with a pencil and when you've not got the colours. So all we need to do is slightly emphasise on one side to give a feel of where these feathers are, where they're being placed. Slightly emphasise in certain places where the light maybe would hit. I'm not doing all of these. We're just going to, on the top part there, bring some shading in and then I'll bring a light source in later. And gently shade that there. So I'm bringing parts of these feathers okay, and now again I'm going to use this time, rather than it being a scrumble, I'm doing a line motion. It's elongating that feather and not cutting it short or making it look like down. An elongation, so you're going downwards with your pencil. And even though you're still using a pencil throughout this, you can start seeing the different areas of the feel of the feathers. This part here is where it's going into the body. And again, just the lines. I've got my fingers towards the back. I don't want it too tight. And anywhere you think you're losing the feather, just bring that line in. Give it a bit of definition. I'm going to carry on with that, and then we'll be coming to the end. I can't wait to see your flamingos, I really can't. Just take your time with these feathers. I'm going to carry on with this, and then that will be the end of this tutorial. Straight down again. And to give it some refining, and then I'll take a picture and we'll send it to Pete so you can all get to see the steps of this lovely tutorial and progress even further with your amazing drawings. Again here, elongation of them lines. Again, elongation of them lines. And then in a moment, to bring some light source in here. And then we'll be the end, like I said, a little bit small, but we have a limited amount of time. I do. You may not. Just putting a bit of putty on the end of my blending stick. And then just bring in where you get the white and the pink and the mixing up of those beautiful flamingo feathers. You can also use your blending stick again to blend in where the pink is more solid and it's flatter. Okay, just a few marks there. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week.